Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. Of course, I'm Big Italy 42, and I'm talking about tonight's slate of action. Of course, only a 6-game slate with that weird early slate, and some interesting options. I see it as one pitcher head and shoulders above the rest. Obviously, on DraftKings, you need to have two pitchers, so he's going to be one of your duo. Finding that combination for your cash games and your GPPs is going to be really key on a short slate. With some weather concerns, looks like 60% chance of storms and showers in Kansas City for the Cardinals-Royals, as well as the constant, seemingly, weather concerns of storms, rain, snow every once in a while in Colorado. So monitor that. There's a 4 o'clock game as well. So assuming they can maneuver these storms and navigate accordingly, they should be able to get both games in. But make sure, luckily DraftKings has late swap. Obviously, you can make your teams. Maybe have a second team ready, some alternatives you can swap in easily, just in case. Without further ado, let me go ahead and start off here talking about Jake Arrieta. He's the top pitcher on the night. I don't think it's particularly close. He's $9,500 facing an Arizona team in Chase Field that ranks 13th in the league against right-handed pitching, a 314 team WOBA. They strike out right around 20% of the time, and Arrieta has by far the highest strikeout rate of anyone tonight, 27.1%. Swing and strike rate right around league average, I guess. He holds both lefties and righties to under a 270 WOBA, so you have to like that. Obviously, it's like a little bit of a higher total, being that it is in Chase Field. A total of 8 right now, looks like, and he's a minus 125 favorite. So not a huge favorite, no, but biggest strikeout upside, and he's got a decent offense behind him. He's just by far the most talented pitcher for tonight's slate. So he's the way that I'll be going as number one. When you're looking at your second options, I'm not a big fan of Lackey tonight against Kansas City. I don't play anyone against Kansas City. Doesn't matter to me who they are. They only strike out 15% of the time. They're one of the best in the league, especially against right-handed pitching, so no thanks for me. Mike Bolsinger is interesting. He's a minus 150 favorite right now at home against San Diego in a 7-run total, so he makes for a fairly safe option against a San Diego team that really just isn't hitting righties at all this year. They're 25th in the league with a 295 team WOBA. 21.5% strikeout rate. Just really not getting it done against righties. They're much better against lefties. So I think he's probably your safest second option. Other guys you can look at, Edison Volquez. There is the weather concern I mentioned, but he's only 6,100. I think he's going to be a popular second play. Obviously, St. Louis, one of the better offenses in the league, top to bottom, and they will get a DH today, being in an American League park. So that's an interesting option. Other guys you can look at, Ruby De La Rosa. Really bad against lefties, but great against righties this season. You don't like Fowler or Rizzo, of course. He's gonna have trouble with them, and he is opposing Arrieta. But just a small favorite, 7,300. He's got a decent strikeout rate on the season of 22%, so he's got some tournament appeal. Then you're looking at Mike Wright. Had his one start against the Angels, was terrific. 7 1/3, 4 hits, 6 Ks, no walks, no earned runs. Now gets a Miami team who is among the worst in the league against right-handed pitching. 24th with a 295 WOBA. Lowest team ISO at 101. So this team has 0 power, and that's including Giancarlo Stanton. So that's a scary number there. I think I'll look his way a little bit in tournaments as well. And Ian Kennedy makes for an interesting option. We know when he's good, and when he's bad, he's really bad. He's shown some big games. He had a nice game against San Francisco where he went 7 innings, just 1 earned, 5 Ks, 24 fantasy points. But we've also seen his lows, with his lows being a negative 8.3 point outing against these same Dodgers in Petco. So Dodgers team that is the best in the league against right-handed pitching, but also really struggling right now. So take your pick with that. Going to have to take some risks on 2-pitcher sites tonight. All right, as we look at catcher, Buster Posey is your obvious top option against David Hale. It's $5,100. He's priced accordingly. If you can afford him, get him. If you see Andrew Susac in the lineup, I think he's a decent value play at $3,700 in Coors Field. If not him, you're looking at the other Coors guys, William Rosario, of course, Nick Hundley, Michael McKinnon, whichever one of those guys is in the lineup, I think are fine plays. If I'm going away from Coors, I'm going with Miguel Montero. Already mentioned De La Rosa struggles against lefties. Montero hitting righties really well. Obviously, hitters park there. That's probably the way I'll be going. I'm not digging any deeper than these guys here tonight, though. First base, my favorite play, Anthony Rizzo against De La Rosa. Once again, going with the lefties against the young pitcher. Gotta love him. Brandon Belt against David Hale is $5,000 tonight in Coors Field, so you're certainly looking his way as well. Goldschmidt is a great tournament option, against Jake Arrieta because Jake Arrieta will be the most popular pitcher on the board. He's 4,900. Not a way I'm going to be going outside of tournaments or a stack, but I think he's an interesting option. We know he can crush the ball at any time. We saw it last night, late. Lots of contests swung literally on that swing by Goldschmidt last night. So certainly in play. We know his type of upside. Adrian Gonzalez, of course, always in play at $4,700. And then when you're looking for cheaper guys for tournaments, Eric Hosmer at $4,300 is interesting against John Lackey, who isn't particularly great against lefties. Then you've got guys like Matt Adams against a righty at $4,100. He's interesting. Kendrys Morales, double donged last night. You're certainly not chasing that, but I think he's in a fine spot. And then my cheap guy is going to be Mike Napoli in tournaments, $3,800 against the lefty and C.J. Wilson. He's been crushing lefties, hitting for some power now, so I'm certainly looking that way if I'm going to be paying down. Second base now, D. Gordon. Got it going last night in a big way. 4 stolen bases, 28 DraftKings points, 2 hits. Now today he gets right. The young pitcher, I think he's going to have no trouble getting on base, and I can't imagine if Baltimore couldn't keep him at first base last night, if they'll be able to keep him tonight, he's going to be running wild again. So he's got big-time upside because of that alone. Colton Wong batting near the top of the order. There, you got to like him at $4,000. And then, once again, a Red Sox player, Dustin Pedroia, at $3,900 against the lefty. Got to love him. And then, of course, your obvious plays. You've got Joe Panic, DJ LeMahieu, 2 guys, 3,800 and 36 respectively, going to be batting in Coors Field tonight against bad pitchers. If Matt Duffy's in the lineup, he's an interesting play as well at $3,600. And if he's leading off, Yangervis Solarte at $3,000 makes for an interesting play for cheap. He's second base and third base eligible. As you're looking at third base here, you've got Chris Bryant up top. Mentioned De La Rosa has been good against righties, but Chris Bryant, we know, certainly has upside, especially on a short slate, so consider him. Nice cash game play, of course, for Matt Carpenter at $4,500. Going to be looking his way as well. If you look a little bit below him, Nolan Arenado, of course, $4,100 at home. You prefer him against the lefty, but he's been hitting righties pretty well this year as well. Couple cash game plays for you here. You like Mike Moustakas against John Lackey, batting second. I love him. He's leading all third basemen in batting average this year. If Xander Bogaerts bats near fifth again, gotta love him against the lefty and C.J. Wilson. Boston's been one of the worst teams in the league against left-handed pitching, so guys like Xander Bogaerts, maybe he gets his opportunity here against lefty. Maybe Boston bats finally get it going tonight. And then, as you're looking at cheaper guys, not a whole lot to love. If Alex Guerrero's in the lineup, $2,900 is just a steal for him. And that's about it. As we move to shortstop, Brandon Crawford, $4,600, of course. Big-time power, Coors Field, no-brainer there. Troy Tulowitzki still not hitting how we'd like him to hit, but one of these days he's going to get it going. He's $4,400. He's certainly in play. Hanley Ramirez, shortstop eligibility, but got hit in the hand with a pitch yesterday. Also dealing with that shoulder injury. Just hasn't looked great. Don't know for sure if he'll be playing tonight, but I don't know that I'll be playing him even if he is at that price. Probably go with one of these Coors bats as long as that game's good to go. Alcides Escobar, leading off against John Lackey, is interesting, and that big ballpark hits much better at home than on the road. Eric Ibar, you're not chasing the home run last night, but if he's leading off, once again, he's certainly in play with those big bats behind him. I hate to say Jimmy Rollins, but in that position, they do score runs. I know they're struggling right now, but he's in play. And Hechavarria, Aiden Hechavarria is a guy who just gets multi-hit games in his sleep. I mean, the guy batting over $300, $3,400 tonight. Probably be batting 7th or 8th, which you don't like. But got to swerve somewhere in your GPPs tonight in tournaments. I think that's a good way to go if you're going cheap. On to the outfield. Mike Trout, of course, your top outfield at $5,600 against right. Another guy facing a right pitcher is Giancarlo Stanton, and he's a predominantly fastball thrower, as our expert B-Chad50, Josh Shepardson, pointed out on the earlier podcast. So certainly going to be looking at Giancarlo Stanton, who absolutely crushes. And Hunter Pence, expensive in Coors Field, but you got to love his style of play in this type of ballpark. $5,200, interesting for him. And he's coming off a 1-for-4 game last night with an RBI. He's hit really well since he's come back from his injury, so you got to like him. Angel Pagan certainly in play, of course. Cole Calhoun right below him. Other guys, Dexter Fowler, another lefty against De La Rosa. I'm going to be looking that way. If you want to get your piece of Rusney Castillo, he should be in the lineup once again tonight, so we'll see what he does in his second appearance. Elsewhere, Jimmy Paredes is an interesting tournament option against Dan Herron. I am looking at some of these Baltimore bats here. And Jason Hayward's starting to swing a nice bat. If he gets a nice lineup spot at $4,200, he's a good play. Of course, all your outfielders for Colorado, San Francisco, I haven't mentioned. Charlie Blackmon, Carlos Gonzalez, all these guys in play for you. Just check the weather and make sure there. Other guys, your ultimate contrarian stack would be these Arizona players because Arrieta will be so highly owned tonight. Gregor Blanco at 3,800 is a nice cheap price there. And then elsewhere, if you're just looking to pick on Ian Kennedy and his fly ball struggles, Jock Peterson is $3,700. Gotta like him. Chris Coughlin, one more lefty against De La Rosa, if he's in the lineup tonight, makes for an interesting play. And you don't really need to go really cheap tonight because there are a lot of pitchers that are mid-range, not expensive guys, so you shouldn't need a whole lot of values past that. With that, that's going to wrap things up. Thank you for hanging out with me. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. I'm at BigItaly42, and all of our great content for tonight's slate at dailyfantasycafe.com, and I'll see you next time.